Guys, first and foremost, I want to apologize for the last video. There were a couple people who called me out on some of the super obvious mistakes that I made, and I was calling the holster a lanyard, and also this is the most embarrassing part, guys. When I had put the cell in the light, somebody who's commented on multiple videos, Michael, if you're watching this video. Thank you for your comments, man. They're going to inspire me to do this video, to be honest. So thank you for your comments and your kindness, because I put the cell in backwards, guys. I didn't even realize it. It's one of those more or less flat top cells, and right now I'm trying to defend myself, but there's no good excuse. I will say, though, that oddly enough, and I'm going to show you guys, on the M2R, I've never seen a light like this. Maybe you guys have before. But the cell is actually put in backwards from most ways. So normally you have the positive side facing the head side of the light with the negative terminal into the battery in the tail cap. This one is opposite. So I did put the light in the way that I wanted it to go. I just didn't realize, and it's even got, I just saw this for the first time, an indicator in here. Let's turn that around if you can see that. That shows that I had it in wrong. So if I had been paying more attention, then I would have picked up on that. I'm sorry. That was, as terrible as the video was, I was actually thinking about putting it down, but I'm kind of curious what other negative feedback I'm going to get on it. So I'm just going to leave it up. I hope that's all right with everybody. Anyways, because I couldn't even figure out the way that the battery goes in, let me sure I have it in the right way this time. Okay. Because I didn't know the way that the battery goes in, I wasn't able to do an overview. All I did was an unboxing in the last video. So y'all have seen the unboxing. You know what comes in the light. This is a very unique light, and I definitely wanted to make a dedicated video just to the way that it operates, because it's very interesting and it's got a lot of cool stuff. A lot of stuff that honestly I think a lot of people are going to like. Also, before I go into the user interface, I want to mention, I can't remember the guy who commented his name, and I'm sorry if you're watching this video, but this is a shout out to you as well. He had sent me a question on one of the videos asking me what kind of light I would recommend for somebody that didn't really care too much for the dual cap operations on the Claris type lights like the ones I have, and some other lights as well. I know a Nightcore, a couple other lights use that same operation. And he said he wanted a constant on to high mode, though. That was important for him. And he didn't want anything that could change modes if you accidentally pressed momentary on, for example. Having played with this light now, for anyone who might have a similar type question, I can very confidently tell you that from going off that criteria, the M2R Warrior by Olight, the new light, it's going to be a winner, I think. If the user interface, if that's what you need in a user interface, I think you're really going to like it. So going into it, you've got this really, really cool flat tail cap activation design. And on the side of the tail cap, it shows you that the momentary on, or the half press, and the full press actually serve as two different functions. Now, this light also has two different modes as well. In one of the modes, which is the non-tactical mode, the half press and the full press both operate. They do the exact same thing. I'm going to double check just to make sure on the back of the box here, but yeah, so it's going to give you 1,000 lumens, not the full 1,500, but 1,000 whether you half press or full press. On the tactical mode, it's if you half press, it always goes to the absolute constant on turbo mode, which is the full 1,500. And then if you fully press in, it goes directly to strobe. If you let off, then the light turns off itself. So it turns itself off. So there's no way to keep it on with the tail cap. It doesn't have the type of switch that you click and then it just stays on. The back tail cap, regardless of whether you're doing momentary on, half press or full press, is just a momentary on, okay? This light, I'm so pleased by the fact that Olight put a genuine moonlight mode in this light. So you have the rear flush tail cap, which has a half press and a full press, and then you have the side switch as well. The side switch is the switch that you're going to need to use to get to the full array of different outputs. If you want to get straight into the light, it does have mode memory. I don't remember what mode I left it in last, so I'm going to run through it a little strange probably. The light, I'm going to start with lockout mode. The light has a lockout mode. In order to put it in that mode, all you have to do is hold the light, hold the side switch, you'll see moonlight mode come on, and then you'll see it cut off. Once it cuts off, you are in moonlight mode. And then if we can zoom in on this little side switch, or I'm sorry, we're on lockout mode. If you click this side switch, you're going to see it turn red. Red indicates that the light is locked out. So what you do is you will go ahead and put it back into battery by just doing the exact same process, holding it through moonlight mode. It'll stay on. Once it stays on, then you know that the light's no longer locked out. For those of you who have other Olight products, you're going to probably, I would imagine you're going to really like this user interface because it's very similar to really all of the other user interfaces on Olights in the fact that you click it once to turn it on. Oh, and before I do this, I want to show you guys that it does have a moonlight mode. In order to get to the moonlight mode, you click and hold just until the moonlight comes on. If you wait until the moonlight mode comes off, it's going to lock the light out the way I just showed you. And then you just quick press to turn the light off again. Now, it does have mode memory, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quick press it once, and it's going to return back to moonlight mode, which I cannot activate as I'm cycling through the modes. I have to press and hold it from off if I'm in a mode other than moonlight mode to get back to the moonlight mode. But now that it's on, as with all Olights, all you do is you press and hold the switch until it moves up to the next brightness setting. Remember, your rear tail cap is in tactical mode, is only going to be either strobe or the full brightness 1500 lumens. That's it. So you can't access any of the other modes that way. And if you have it in the outdoor setting, it's only good for 1000 lumens, regardless of whether or not it's half press or full press. The first setting outside of moonlight mode, this is 15 lumens. Then the next step up will take you to 60, 250, 700, and then back to the 15. Remember, not moonlight mode. If I want to turn the light off, you don't click and hold. You quick press, like you do with most, if not all other Olights. And then to get back to moonlight, now that the light is off, I'm going to click press and hold, and the moonlight mode comes on. And that's moonlight mode, okay? Now, I'm going to show you something else that's pretty cool too. The way you switch modes, I think it's really ingenious how they did this, because that's one of my biggest complaints on the XT2CR by Claris, although that's still my favorite single-cell 18650 light, even after playing with this one, just personal preference. It takes forever to change the mode outputs, or the mode that you're in with that light. On this one, it's much faster, but it's very similar. All you do is you press through your tail cap all the way, tap it once, the side switch, and now I have lost strobe, and I'm only at 1000 lumens. So this is a half press to a full press. There's no change at all. Now with the rear tail cap down, just to show the difference, I'm going to touch the side switch again. Okay, you just saw it strobing again. That changed the mode back to tactical mode. My half press now is at 1500 lumens, so you get 500 more lumens. And if I full press, I'm in strobe again. So that's the user interface for this light, guys. I think it's ingenious. I really do. And normally, because I normally include the overview with the unboxing, now that that's kind of gone out the window because I screwed up in the unboxing video that I still have up for those of you who might be interested to what all comes with the light, I'm actually going to use this same video to jump straight into what I consider to be the pros and cons of this particular light. Let me first say that I think that this light, in my opinion, has far more pros than cons. I think that they really, really listen to the consumer on this one, guys. And I really appreciate and respect what Olight's doing with this light because it's innovative. So even if some of the features, aren't optimal now, the fact that they're willing to try what people have been saying to try to do for forever, I think, is a big slap on the back for them. I think they deserve that. The most obvious thing for me was the pocket clip. And if we can take a look at this pocket clip real quick, originally it comes, first of all, it's awesome that you can put it on two different spots of the light. So you might like to be one of those guys, and a lot of Olight guys are, who carry lens up, LED up. If that's the case, you can literally turn the pocket clip around the way I just did, and you get a decently deep carry pocket clip in terms of how much of the light could potentially be outside of your pocket. You'll notice that this pocket clip can either be hung onto clothing like this, or you have the secondary one as well, which is facing the opposite direction for if you take this off. Now, I always talk about how much I love deep carry pocket clips. Guys, single cell 18650 cell lights are some of my absolute favorite, okay? This is the deepest, for me, I'm not saying that this is the deepest one on the market, but for me in my experience, this is by far the deepest carry pocket clip light for a single cell 18650 I have ever seen. This to me is a 9 out of 10 all day just for design. I mean, this in itself is a selling point for the light for me. So absolutely awesome. One of the biggest pros of the light, I would say, is this pocket clip that they have and the fact that it's interchangeable as well. Another huge thing for anyone who carries a light regularly, especially one this size format, a single 18650 cell, tail caps. Tail cap switches are very important because it's easy to have accidental ons if you keep them depending on the pocket you keep it in, if you keep it in a pocket when you sit down, for example. Especially when I'm wearing denim, I have that problem. I've had a lot of accidental ons in my life with single 18650 cell lights. They've kind of eliminated that, guys. I mean, in theory, I don't know how you could even accidentally turn this light on in your pocket, being that the tail cap, if we can zoom in just a little bit, is actually a bit more recessed than the body itself and the magnetic charging ring up here, which brings me to my next pro of this light. I love the fact that you don't have to open the light up to plug the charger. I like the magnetic charging idea. I like the fact that it's in a very accessible spot. You don't have to rotate the clip regardless of where it is to access it. You just take the magnetic charger, boom, put it on. It's as easy as literally plugging up your MacBook Air with the new lightning chargers, I think is what they're called on there, with the magnets, and you can turn on either side. I mean, it's really one of those things that you can't mess up. Huge kudos to Olight for that. I think that is really, really awesome. I even like the fact that the rear tail cap in this particular light can't function as a permanent on. That all it is going to be momentary. To me, that's huge as well. The knurling on this light on the side, if we can zoom in on that just for a minute here. One of my biggest complaints with the M1X by Olight as well, the Striker, and a lot of you guys are probably familiar with that light, is the fact that it had the type of design that made it appear to have really cool design texture knurling, but for me, in my experience with the light, it was completely useless. It didn't provide any grip at all. I mean, that was probably still, certainly for me, one of the slipperiest lights I ever had, especially if you're working on a car or something, you have oil on your hands or something like that. It just wasn't good for me. But the knurling on this one, it's still not the best over some of the other lights I felt, but my gosh, is it more aggressive and is it more useful? I can tell instantly than what was on the M1X. So kudos to Olight for changing that as well. The beam on this light is fantastic. Unlike a lot of other lights in this class, you'll see that you've got a super orange peel reflector in this thing, and instead of having a really smooth reflector, it's really roughened out to provide a very, very smooth beam transition. I'm going to post a beam shot video as well. It's not up yet, guys, but it is coming. I know everyone likes to see the beam shots, and I do too. So that'll be coming in the very near future, God willing. But overall, I think this light has tremendous pros. So for anyone considering this light, I can't think really of any reasons to sway you away from it. I'm not sure any light provider has the reputation for reliability. I'm sure others, of course, have insane reputations for reliability, but I don't think anyone mocks Olight in that regard. I know I don't. I've had certain Olights of mine for almost 5 years now, and they literally run like they're brand new, holding a charge and everything. So I've been thoroughly impressed with Olight products. Into a few of the cons, going to the pocket clip, you'll probably remember I gave it a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. I think the design is a 10 out of 10. However, I would definitely like to have seen a bit more retention. For me, this is actually one of the sloppier, in terms of retention, it's one of the sloppier retentions that I felt on a clip. Some guys may actually like that because if you're wearing something thick like denim all the time, it's going to be easier to pull it off of. For me, I usually don't wear denim, so, especially if it's like gym shorts or something like that, for me, this was a bit of a problem. But going back to a brief pro, it is so deep that I think that you'd be okay regardless of what you're wearing with that. That is one thing that I would like to have seen changed, though. Again, just personal preference. The other thing, and this is just because I'm weird like this and like playing with lights all the time, I've mentioned in other videos that I love when a light comes on instantly, when there's no delay in time. And I have constantly critiqued my years old now Nightcore SRT7 because on the tail cap, when you click the light on, it just takes that fraction of a second to actually put the light out, unlike a light like my Claris that's just truly instant on. As soon as that tail cap's touching, man, that light comes on. I've noticed that there is just the smallest delay ever in the M2R. When I click the light to turn it on, you know, normally in other lights, by the time I hear the sound of the click, the light comes on. In this one, it takes just a second, like that power off too. The power off, I'm going to click it now, and then it took almost a half second just to turn off. For me, that bothers me. Maybe it was purposely designed that way. I'm not saying that is a flaw in the light at all, but it does that. Something else I've noticed too when I was playing with the light today is that if I'm constantly half pressing this rear switch to activate the light, and I'm doing it quick. So let's say I'm trying to mimic a strobe because I have it in the non-tactical mode. Every single time I did this, and I did this at least 20 times just to make sure it was happening, the light would get to the point where it would no longer turn on in momentary. And then the strangest thing is that if I let off of the switch completely, it would actually play catch up with the times I was flickering it. So it would like flick 2 times, for example, when I hadn't clicked it at all because it was trying to catch up with the amount of clicks that I had given it. So for me, that's a flaw of the light. I don't know if it's because they've implemented the magnetic charging. I don't know if that has something to do maybe with the current or the contact that it's happening now with the metal switch to the battery. I don't know. Again, I'm not for a second saying the light's not reliable. It has been 100% reliable. That's just something that I don't like. And as tempted as I was to keep this light, because as soon as I saw it, I thought, man, this light looks cool. It has so much functionality to it. It wasn't until I actually experienced, I'm going to call it the lag in the half presses, that made me really realize, no, I'm definitely holding on to my Claris XT2CR now, because the Claris doesn't do that, and the Claris has ran beyond 100% for me. So anyways, guys, that's just my 2 cents on the light. I think this light is amazing. I think this light is going to be the right light for a lot of people, for just regular civilians, for police officers, for military guys. This light is going to have a purpose for anybody. And if you're just a flashaholic that's looking to add another single cell 18650 cell style light to your collection, you cannot go wrong with this light, guys. Seriously, I absolutely love this thing. If I wasn't as broke as I was right now, I would be keeping this light. That's honestly how I feel about it. But being that things are what they are right now, I will be holding on to my Claris, which has served me well now since I've bought it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I've somewhat kind of redeemed myself with the accuracy. If I misspoke, or if anyone feels differently about the light who may own it or may be thinking about owning it, please let me know. I genuinely enjoy reading y'all's comments, even the critical ones. In fact, I probably even enjoy those more at times than the positive ones, because I need to know that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe. God bless.